party is over and Mama is home. Rob, the wrestling old head here, and Rhea Ripley returned to the WWE this past Monday on Raw and caught Dom in a very compromising position. But what does that mean for SummerSlam? What does that mean for the Judgment Day? Well, we're here to talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm Rob, the wrestling old head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling all the time. This is my opinion on the current product, and we're here to talk about one of my favorite subjects to talk about. It is the Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, Rhea Ripley triangle of love, baby. And to quote a popular Ozzy Osbourne song, Mama, I'm coming home. But she came home, not him. And him being Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio is going to have a lot to think about now that Rhea Ripley is indeed back. And what we've seen recently in this build-up, where Paul Levesque has been taking his sweet time to really build this to a boiling point, which is that Damian Priest has actually been the voice of reason a lot. He has been trying to bestow a sense of knowledge and advice to Dominic Mysterio, like a father figure, if you will. And Dom has mentioned several times last week being kind of subtle, this week being more overt, where he said, basically, you're starting to sound like my dad. And as a young kid, like Dom is, you don't want to hear that from an older father figure type, that, you know, you need to get in line and fix things and figure it out. So it's a great story beat. It is very interesting the way that they're going about this. And I like the added tension there with Damian Priest really trying to help Dom, and then at one point saying, you know what, he's going to figure this out on his own. And then when Rhea Ripley shows up, that, oh snap, I'm in trouble. Mama is back. So Damian Priest being the voice of reason, being the father figure, I feel that Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Carlito are going to be the frat guys, are going to be the guys that are more like, you know, come on, you know, look at all the stuff that Liv has done for us, you know. Dom, she helped you beat your father for the first time. You've never beaten your father. You finally got to beat the deadbeat dad. And Liv, look what Liv did for us. She got us the tag team titles. All of this good luck, almost good luck, being bestowed upon the Judgment Day the moment that Liv Morgan starts walking into the clubhouse. This is going to make for an interesting tie-in, because Rhea Ripley coming back now, she is going to be furious with the Judgment Day and with certain members. So I had theorized, if you've watched my previous videos where I talk about this subject a lot, I had theorized about Finn Balor actually being in cahoots with Liv Morgan. They've teased it more than enough times, and reading into the details of the way that the story is going to progress, it is not out of the ordinary that you would see Finn Balor distance himself from Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest and gear more towards Liv Morgan based on what Liv Morgan has done for the Judgment Day in Rhea Ripley's absence. So this makes for an interesting story. I mean, look, the Judgment Day have always been a bunch of wild jackals. I mean, look who started Judgment Day. It was Edge, Adam Edgy Copeland, who is no longer with the WWE now. When he was around, they ended up turning on him. They were a bunch of savages, and they beat him down. So they never really felt like they were a solid unit. You know, there was always jockeying for position, whether it be Rhea Ripley as the leader over Damian Priest, or Damian Priest being the leader. We never really got to see the dynamic with Finn Balor actually saying, you know, hey, I could be a leader here. And it would be interesting to see that Liv Morgan is the one whispering in Finn Balor's ear that he is the leader. And I've spoken about this before, but it begs repeating, that if she is in behind the scenes telling Finn Balor that he is the true glue of the Judgment Day, that he is the true leader, then in front of us, in front of our very eyes, she is doing the opposite and potentially gearing Dominic to think that he is the leader, using him as a pawn, if you will, to subvert the eyes of Dominic and actually push for Finn Balor to be the true leader and take over, which is an interesting story beat. But what is going to happen at SummerSlam? I mean, how are we going to go from point wherever we're at to the point of SummerSlam? I don't feel that that Triple H is ready to call this feud off. I don't think that he's ready to put the cap on it and call it a feud at SummerSlam. I feel like it's just going to be another unraveling, another chapter, if you will, because we're at the point right now, the midway point, before we get to WrestleMania. All stories kind of had like a break after WrestleMania, and now we're seeing the stories gear back up. They've been gearing up. Triple H has done a phenomenal job with setting these little instances up here and there, slow Raw, whatever. But if you paid attention in those slow Raws, there were little inklings of story beats, watching them slowly build to a precipice right now. And what we're seeing is a bunch of stories really starting to hit their steam. I don't feel like we're going to see a lot of finality at SummerSlam. I do feel like we're going to see an extension. So with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, do you put them in a ladder match after you just had Money in the Bank? I would say no. I know a lot of people are saying we should do the custody of Dom thing. That's been a meme favorite on the internet for a long time. And, based on what Carlito said about Dom this past Monday, you could even call it a Dom's pole on a pole match or something like that. But I don't know if I would do the ladder match. I do feel that they need to do set up a situation where Dom is trying to help Rhea and then ends up helping Liv, to further the idea that maybe Dom is actually siding with Liv, because that's been hinted at for a while. And that story beat with Liv retaining the women's championship at SummerSlam, all because of Dom's mishap, or was it a mishap, is just a further story just to keep us, taking the bait and going further down the rabbit hole of this story going forward. And Rhea really feeling like, man, should I even trust Dom at this point? I can't trust Finn. I can't trust McDonough. The only person I can trust is Priest, but Priest never seems like he's around because he's focused on being the world heavyweight champion. So you got interesting storylines. I also thought it would be an interesting thing if Rhea showed up in blonde hair, without the makeup, without the dark makeup, kind of more docile, and showed up with Dom, and Dom going like, whoa, Rhea, what's going on? And she's like, hey, Dom, and trying to entice him back, trying to lure him back, almost shedding the dark shadows in the clouds and bringing sunshine and birds chirping to show him that she can be this way, to get him to go towards her a little bit more. Maybe I'm reading too much in that. I've been watching a lot of 80s movies lately, so that's where my head went. I don't know if Rhea should be getting that vulnerable, but I thought it was just an interesting idea, kind of like an 80s throwback, a video montage of her showing up with a white dress and the blonde hair and the silhouette of her, whatever. It's corny, it's cheesy, but hey, it could be an interesting story beat, because then now he's being pulled at different directions. Should I go to Rhea, the one that I've always known and loved, and who has helped me through so much, so much advice, helping me get to a certain point, or do I go with Liv, who seemingly comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden I've got this good luck around me, all these great things are happening to me and my friends. You've got the tendies, you got the boneless wings, she's always hooking it up with the video games, it's so many throwbacks. I think of when I was a teen, and you don't want to bring this certain woman around mommy, because if you bring this certain woman around mommy, then she's gonna be like, oh man. So you want to be with her more, because the more that you're being pushed away, the more that you're going towards her, and for teenage Dom, this is a perfect type of a scenario, because the more he's being pulled away from Liv, everybody's saying stay away, stay away, stay away, he finds himself drawing himself closer and closer. And I think that's an interesting story beat to go off of for this, and to bring Rhea into the situation where, what role is she going to play? Is she going to say, just get out of here, I don't want you around, I don't need you, and it end up costing her? Or is she going to try to get Dom back in her good graces by any means? And that's what I mean by the story of her shedding the makeup and letting her hair down, and all of that stuff, because she's trying to get Dom back, but she's doing it in a different way. She's doing it in a way almost like in Family Matters, when Steve Urkel was Stefan, and Laura finally was interested in him, the things that she did to get him interested no longer suited who she actually was. Urkel or Stefan, they liked her for who she was. The moment that she tried to change and be different, that's when it started to not seem as authentic. If you get what I'm saying, so that's an interesting story beat they could use if that's the route they want to go with Rhea, but it is in a different evolution of her character if they choose to go that way. Instead, she could go to the route of, I don't really need you. And it's too bad we don't have Buddy Matthews right now to work off of, because that would be a huge story beat. And if you remember, Buddy Matthews, he is, I think he was Buddy Murphy in the WWE. When he was in the WWE, one of the programs he had was with Dominic Mysterio, his sister. I believe that's what it was. That's off the top of my head, but I believe there was kind of a program with the Mysterios. So there's like this threading of the story that they can really utilize, and he's the one piece that could really tie it all together. It would be so interesting if they can get him and him show up with Rhea, and then that would make Dom jealous, and then Dom can further go with Liv to try to make Rhea jealous, and Rhea's like, this is my husband, dude, like, I really liked you, but I liked you as you saw me as a role model. I tried to help you. I wasn't really into you like that. It would be a huge story beat if they went that way, but I understand why they can't. Here's hoping that Buddy Matthews' contract expires, because that would be a huge story beat. We already know. We peeked behind the curtain. Those inclined are inclined, and those that aren't, when they're made aware, it could be a huge moment. But that's just my thoughts on it. SummerSlam coming up, Rhea Ripley against Liv Morgan. I personally feel like they shouldn't do the ladder match, but I understand if they do, it would make a whole lot of sense. Dom accidentally bumps into the ladder, Rhea falls off, Liv climbs up, gets custody of Dom, or gets the women's championship, or both. I think it'll work out, but what do you guys think? Do you think that we're gonna see Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan tear it up at SummerSlam? Do you think that's going to be their final match in the storyline, or do you think it's going to go further? Let me know in the comments. Thumbs up on the way out. It's free, you guys. Helps grow the community and get more of the eyes on my opinion on the pro wrestling product. A wrestling old head of 36 years. So until next time, wrestling fans, stay united, and I'll see you soon.